Today's episode, we have Jake Donaldson with us. He's just moved to Texas from Louisiana, and he's going to go over a little bit of the differences with that and turkey hunting and everything. So, how you doing, Jake?
Oh, we can't complain, buddy. Living a dream, I guess, what some people say. Just working hard to make a paycheck, but still at the same time trying to enjoy life the best you can.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what we got it this time. It's up and going. I don't know what happened a while ago, but I'm sorry. But we was at least I called it early because we was about to have a great conversation about some good things, and looked up and the record wasn't working. So learning curves, learning pains. It's a big thing. Like trying to, I think this is probably the 10th or 11th that I've recorded, and we've put out like four because going through fixing stuff on them, and I'm still not the best at that. So just bear with us. But we're glad to have Jake here and talk about it because he's real big into turkey hunting, and I think he gets it done pretty much anywhere he goes turkey hunting.
Yeah, I say anywhere I go, I ain't been too many places. Mississippi, Texas, Louisiana, mainly so far. The tri-state and lower south. I have plans on one of these days going up north, trying to hopefully get on Merriam. Maybe a oscillator down in Florida or a Golds, but it's just a dream. Right now. The Rios, that's what I love right now the most anyway, the Rios.
All right, yeah, that's we'll get into that. I'm gonna jump right off into it. You texted me the other day a video and everything. You got your brother on one, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you, that was a hunt that just couldn't have came together any better. That was a bird that worked for us. I've been telling everybody basically a chicken on a string. We worked that bird from 6:40 in the morning to 8:45 when he pulled the trigger, and that bird came over about 500 yard travel.
That's impressive. It was a little bit of redemption for him from what I understand, huh?
Oh yeah, last year we were hunting in Pine Grove last year, and we try to make a yearly hunt every year. Try to take him on a bird, spend some time, his brothers. We don't do a whole lot together throughout the rest of the year because he's always deer hunting, I'm always bass fishing, or vice versa, and we stay busy a lot of times with families and all that, so we try to make time for each other one time a year at least to go turkey hunting. And last year, we got on a couple birds, we heard him gobble, and we actually just stumbled up behind him, and he threw up, shot at a long shot, and it was just too far for him. The bird probably about 80 yards. That wasn't no chance, and he thought he could do it, and I was like, yeah, that's way too far to even try.
Oh yeah, everybody does something like that at least once.
Oh yeah, you gotta throw that Hail Mary. If you don't happen to throw a Hail Mary every now and then, I don't think you find it enough. You got the itch enough.
Exactly, it's the same thing like you said with fishing. Like there's that you gonna throw that Hail Mary into anything you do. That's what type of like let's get into some turkeys and just dive into this turkey hunting. What type of call do you prefer, mouthpiece or box? What you go with?
Mostly what I use is Polar Elite. Put out a crystal pot call, and I've just been stuck with that one for the last 3 years. I got about 9 birds underneath it, and it's just it's just a real pretty call. You can get real quiet. You can talk to them way far out in the wind, and like we were talking about earlier over here, wind's blowing steadily. I mean, it's blowing right now. It may be only a 5-10 mile an hour wind, but it'll carry that sound either to them or away from them. So if you got to cut through that wind, I found that crystal, it sort of throws it further out to them. And they gobble, and you can hear them. You can hear them react to it. So whenever they react to it, they're picking up on something. And as they come in, you can crank it down a little bit and just sort of work them real slow and quiet. So, but that's what I normally. 99% of the time, that's what I'm running is that crystal pot call.
Okay, and that's like I said a while ago. This is your first turkey season over where you're at. You had a pretty good deer season over there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've actually hunted a little bit further west in here with some friends' places.
Mm-hmm.
Last year I got an outstanding bird. Had the taxidermist not already done cleaned him out, he would have been number 83 in the top 100 Rios killed with the NWTF in Texas. Big triple beard, 23 7/8 inch overall beard, inch and a half spur on one side, I think it had an inch and 3/8 on the other side, and he weighed 21 pounds. So, I mean, he was up there. He was scoring real nice. And I talked to a couple buddies of mine that were hunting north of me from Louisiana, and they were also members of NWTF. And in order to have a bird scored, properly, you had to have witnesses and all that. Well, I got a hold of them, and I called a taxidermist. The taxidermist, well, I done skinned him out. I was like, man. So I actually missed out on the opportunity, and that was over a little further west of me, about 2 hours west of me in Floresville, where last Saturday, that girl had doubled up, for her first bird.
Yeah. That's what I think. I've hunted out just out of Comfort, Texas, and I did some axis hunting over in that area a couple years back, and totally different like out there than it is to what we're normally used to, and it's like you look at it and it takes a little bit getting used to. And like I said, I did some axis hunting, and plan on going back. I think that was probably I hunted them in February of 19, I think. Yeah, because my arm was still in a cast from the wreck I got in November, December of 18. I broke my wrist and tore the ligament and tendon in my right arm, which I shoot right-handed. But I'd already scheduled the hunt, and I can shoot left-handed, so I went anyway. And but heck, that deer season, like a week after I got in the wreck, I shot a buck and a doe shooting left-handed. So everybody's like, why don't you shoot left-handed all the time? I'm like, because I try not to. I was just always practice shooting off-handed. Like, I'll get carried away, like practicing with my bow. Like, I shoot right-handed bow, but I can shoot my right-handed bow left-handed well enough to shoot a deer, just from doing it all the time. Because like I'm one of those that like I practice weird things just for the enjoyment of it, and it's like fishing. Like I'll switch. Like I use a right-handed bait caster, but when I get tired of it being in my right hand, I'll switch and start doing everything left-handed with it. Like I'll start casting it. Like I'll flip right-handed. Like holding it for the pressure, and I'll use it right-handed, then move my hand up to the reel. I fished with one guy that...
I do that also myself from time to time. Fishing in tournaments like you do. We both fish in tournaments. I mean, I don't know how many casts I put in, from 6 to 3 in the morning, from 6 in the morning to 3 in the evening, But I understand completely what you're saying, Me personally, my eyes ain't going to let me do nothing left-handed as far as shooting-wise. I'll be like a cat in a room full of rocking chairs if it comes to that. But you was talking about differences as far as the different, I guess you could say terrain here versus Louisiana. What I tell everybody, which is it's pretty funny, but it's true, is that everything out here will want to poke you, stick you, bite you, sting you, or hurt you somehow or another. Whether it's the cactus, it's the bull nettle. Last Saturday when that little girl was on the Floresville, we were walking out a trail. Well, I looked down there, and there's a cat print bigger than it's wider than my foot. And I told the rancher, I was like, you got a cat out there? She's like, yeah, we got 2. We got a small one and a big one. Been out there about 6 years. I'm like, oh, so you want to talk about makes you want to walk a little funnier?
Oh yeah,
I'll definitely do it.
It's like when what was it? Right around Christmas, New Year's, I went over to West Oklahoma and looked at that property because we talked about it, and I went over there and looked at it. It was like 5 degrees, dude. It was that cold snap. With the wind chill, when I got out of the truck, it was like almost 0. And I think the temperature, like the ambient temperature, was like 12, and with the wind chill, it was like 2. It was horrible. And so I get it, but I had already drove over there. I'm like, screw it. I got to walk this place and look at it. And I'm looking and I find deer hair in the fence row because they've been jumping the barbed wire. The ground was so hard that like it was froze. You didn't leave footprints. So it's like, and it'd been below freezing for like a week straight over there. The pond on the place was froze solid. And
oh, wow.
Like you could have walked across the pond. Like I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, like it is, and it was like, and then I ended up, I'm like, and the wind was blowing like horrible. And it was like, man, if I could see some deer, that I'd feel better. But, nothing's going to move in this weather, right? As I say that, I look up and I count 11 does get up out of this little ravine and jump the fence and keep going across the neighbor's pasture off the place I was looking at. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to lease this place. But I'm going to sleep on it the night. I'm driving back to Shreveport tonight. I'm going to sleep on it. Make my decision in the morning. When I got up the next morning and pulled it back up because it was through the site I use and everything, it had been leased out. Like, literally, like...
Oh, wow.
So, it was a fun ride. I mean, you figure I drove from Shreveport over there, and it was, I think it was 30. It was less than 30 miles from New Mexico, and great fun ride, seeing all kinds of stuff. But it was like, which in getting into this, what I'm going with is like you said, everything wants to stick you, prick you, or poke you, and that's how that layout was over there. Because I'm walking and I find these like little, the little like ground cactuses.
Oh yeah,
and I'm looking at them, and automatically in my head I'm like, man, rattlesnakes like those things. Then I'm like, but it's too cold for snakes. It's like, like.
Well, you say that, yeah, it's fine. But what was it? It was right in the middle of February, and it was in the probably 30s. I understand over there it's way too cold for them. I won't say it was in the 30s whenever I was on this job over here in Devine, which is just southwest of me over here. And I had moved this fence panel over, and lo and behold, underneath it was a daggum scorpion.
Oh, wow.
And that's a creature right there that it blends in way too well with the sandy terrain out here. And they say that they ain't gonna kill you, but they burn like fire when they sting you. And I wasn't gonna let him get the first lick.
That's what I was gonna say. It was like, it's like I really wouldn't want to find out. And it's like when we was talking, and it's like I did that podcast with, I recorded with Dan Infault the other day, and
right.
I don't think it's on the podcast. I think it was just him and I talking afterwards or whatever, and we were talking about like, because he'll wade chest deep water in these sloughs and swamps up in Wisconsin, and everything, going to stuff and everything, and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want to do that down here. He's like,
no, they got way too many little creatures in the water.
Yeah, it is. He's like,
nah, I'm good. I don't even know what they're called. They just look like something that come from Hollywood, like something that the Predator gave birth to.
Yeah, he started laughing at me because I'm like, I don't think I want to do that in South Louisiana. Like, you step on a water moccasin in like October down here, and it's like, no, not, and it's like, and that's the thing. Like, I was gonna go scout. Like, what's today? Today's Sunday. We're recording on Sunday, April 3rd, but I was gonna go scout. Like, I thought about going yesterday, then I had stuff I needed to do, and then I'll probably go one day this week. But I'm like, man, it's like, man, I gotta put my snake guards on, because like half the place that I'm going is gonna be damp and nasty, and we've been getting a good bit of rain, so I'm like, so there's gonna be snakes. It's like, no,
oh, yeah.
And it's like,
absolutely.
That's the only bad thing about turkey season down here. Then it's like, over where you're at, you how many rattlesnakes have you seen in the past couple of weeks?
I've actually been fortunate. I've only seen one so far, and he didn't make a trip. He was about 5.5 foot long, had 11 rattles and a button, so he's a good sized snake.
Mm-hmm.
I just picked up a little Bond Arms Texan, a 6-inch barrel Derringer, just for that, because TSS is way too expensive.
Yeah. Did you try cooking him or not?
No. Where I was at, I didn't have no ice chest or nothing with me, and I was like, yeah, it's hot, nasty. I wasn't even gonna waste. I hate to say I wasted him, but I've eaten rattlesnake before. But at the same time, though, it was just like where I was at, there was no way I could even be able to preserve him enough to where I could go cook him.
Oh, that's why I was asking, because I've had rattlesnake too. It's pretty good. Like, but I mean, I've tried bobcat, and like people, I had a guy that hunter, a buddy of mine I met several years back on public land hunting, and he told me then, he's like, man, if you ever kill a bobcat and cook it out, you'd rather that over deer. I'm like, yeah, okay, dude, whatever. So like a year later, I get a bobcat. I'm like, I'm gonna try it. The back straps look like small pork loins. It's just pretty white meat, right? And it's got this sweet flavor to it. You just skillet fry it like it's cut it, like skillet fry it. Don't batter nothing. Just skillet fry it like you would a piece of back strap or pork chop. Right. Bruh, he wasn't lying. It's up there in like the top 3.
No doubt.
So that you like
I've
that.
Heard people eating coyote before, and that just don't appease me. And after the 2 we were able to take out last Saturday. Now that was a wild ride.
Coyote's not that good. I tried it.
Yeah, I don't want to try. I'm good.
I've tried it.
I know what they eat mostly, especially out here. Whenever you got the cattle land, and it's about the same thing with a possum. Now, I'm not really into possum, and I haven't been that way, armadillo or skunk.
Well, it's like, name something that actually eats a possum. Like, most of your wild animals won't even eat a possum. Like, buzzards will pass on it most of the time.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, also something else I found out about Texas is pretty strange, too, is that it's actually, of course, obviously, it's illegal to pick up roadkill. But I also realized that I shot a pig earlier this year, out here at my pasture, and we ended up, knocking the meat off of it, quartering it up, took the guts and the rib cage, what was left of the ribs, and we brought it there in the pasture, dumped it out there, what we call it. Everybody's got an old bone pile,
Yeah.
backyard, whatever you call it. I dumped him out there, and I was just curious. I put a camera up. And from the time that I put that pig out there, what was left of that pig out there in that pasture, it took 36 minutes for about 50 vultures to get on there and pick him clean. There was nothing but the skull, the rib cage, the backbone, and the two hindquarter legs left. And we got all the meat off the hind. We already deboned that first, And it was wild just to see the vultures and what they call the Mexican eagles. It's a cara, which are a real pretty bird, and they're awesome for killing snakes. They were out here, and they just had a feast. It's just so crazy how fast that they can smell, that carcass or whatever, and they were on it 36 minutes from the moment that I got a picture from me dumping it to the time I got a picture of that rib cage, and they were just over there just, relaxing with their big old full bellies.
Oh, dude, I killed a hog last week of January. When I was public land hunting. It wasn't super cold. It was like 40s. So 45 to 55 during the day, on the day I killed them, right? So not super cold, not hot. Literally, time I got him field dressed and started quartering him up, right? Again, because he was too big for me to load by myself. I sent you that picture, I believe. He was right at 200 pounds. I was by myself. I'm like, this ain't happening. So I just started cleaning him right there where I was at, right? Within 45 minutes of him being shot and me getting the last piece on the ice chest, the buzzards were sitting in the tree looking at me.
Oh, they're waiting. They're waiting on their cut.
Yeah, and I'm like, geez, man, imagine. So it's in hot weather, imagine how quick it really is. It'll make you really think how quick the stuff really go bad.
And yeah, and I noticed something else around here. You're talking about our deer season we had out here, which is great. I mean, me and my wife were able to harvest. Well, she was able to harvest her first deer. I think he's about in the 140s. I haven't actually got an official score.
I was just gonna say she's gonna have heck ever. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I think mine's about the same. About 140, 150 inch. 10.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them were beautiful 10 points. But she was actually in Louisiana visiting a family whenever I shot mine.
Mm-hmm.
And when I shot him, I had deer all around me, and I hunt right here. It's 27 acres, and I got that back up behind. So shot him, I called my neighbor, I was like, I heard you shoot. I was like, yeah, you don't mind, come give me a hand, this is a bigger deer. I ended up putting him in my truck by myself. So he goes back to his house, whatever. I'll bring him out here beside my house. I'm talking 15 yards from my back door. Had the lights on, had him hanging, we're skinning him out. And next thing you know, it was just all out madness. The coyotes were right in the shadows, 50 yards, 30 yards behind me. And they were circling around me as I'm cleaning my deer out. Needless to say, I ain't never had to clean a deer with a handgun on my side, but that night I did. And they just wouldn't come close enough to where, I could actually try to scare them off or see where they're at or whatever. I couldn't tell how many there was, but it was enough for me to know that
you wasn't alone.
I wasn't alone for sure, and I wasn't too comfortable, because I like my deer as much as they like my deer, So it was going to be a fight, regardless if it had to come down to it.
What is speaking of deer season, because it seems like y'all's turkey season time frame is pretty close to what it is here. What is y'all's deer season over there? Because I know Texas has got a couple different Louisiana we have 10 areas, but it's all pretty much the same. You know how it is here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's similar here.
Okay.
The funny thing is, what I've realized about deer season here, though, is the management area, or the management, should I say, of doe season. Your doe season in Texas is only 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I say not in Texas, but in most counties, like my county right here, it's 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is a Thursday of Thanksgiving through that Sunday after Thanksgiving. And I was sort of like you, whenever you were talking about, you were wanting to see deer in that property in Oklahoma. Well, I had religiously 3 does that had been showing up on my camera, and then I've seen them when I've been hunting and all that. I knew it was, the doe with a yearling and another bigger doe. So I knew they were there, and I was like, man, we're probably slacking on the does, probably don't have a whole lot, so I'm not even going to worry about doe season this year. My neighbor, which actually owns the property behind me, which partially owns most of mine, has MLD tags, so I was able to use an MLD tag if needed, and just to do the management on a doe. Well, lo and behold, that Sunday after doe season ends, don't see nothing but them 3 does. The following Saturday, I seen 27 does in behind my house in one herd, and I'm like, oh well, now y'all been high and y'all know season's over, so here it is, huh?
Yep.
So we were actually able. We went ahead and filled one of them tags this season, just to go ahead and try to knock down the herd a little bit, which didn't really. One doe ain't gonna help, but it may help a little bit for the population.
Yeah.
So we did that, and me and my wife spoke earlier after season, should I say? And we just made a lineup. This coming season, it's 4 days. We're planning on probably taking out at least 1 doe a piece, maybe 2 does. Just depends on what this summer and spring looks like. Because right now everything's a doe, it seems. They've all lost their horn to it.
Yep.
And surprisingly, last week I actually had to literally stop from doing 70 miles an hour, the speed limit, at 5 o'clock in the morning going down the highway. They had deer run across the road, and there was a little basket rack 8 walk across. I'm like, hey man, you still got your horn? You run a little late or what?
Hey, last year in our place that we have in Shreveport, the private property that my wife's family owns, I had a buck in May that was hard horn.
Huh.
And we're like, it was like, he must not have dropped them yet. Then it's like, because there's no way he should be hard horned already. He was like a little 4 or 6 point. I'd have to find the pictures, but it was like middle of May. And what was crazy though is like, none of it, myself and my 2 brother-in-laws, none of us had pictures of this deer, other than like May, and I had him and he was hard horned, and he was, but we didn't have pictures prior to that, so it's like, what the heck, man? And it's like deer, it's like, it's crazy on how some of them do, and that's what they know what season is, and it's just like you said with the turkeys are. Yeah, you got a decent amount of turkeys right there, you feel, or?
I'm fortunate enough. I have permission from 2 different ranches to hunt. I say 2 ranches. One of them's small property, probably about 50 acres, and the other one's about 8,000. And on the 8,000, I only actually hunt two of the spots. I think one of them's like a 200-acre pasture area, and the other one's like a 50-acre pasture area. Just the way they're set up on the property is just too pretty, and it's what everybody calls it. I call it mostly my honey hole, because it's always produced great birds. It's always got a lot of activity as far as birds and all. I seen the first hogs over there last weekend for the first time in probably about, I don't know, it's been a few years or a good many hunts, should I say, that I've been over there, and didn't never see no hogs until the other day we was over there, and we probably had 50 of them come across front of us on the way chasing some birds, and they come from where the birds were at, and I was like, well, they done pushed them birds away, so we were smart enough to spin around and go back out the way we came, and when we went back out to that pasture, in that little 200-acre pasture, with my friend's daughter, come up on the hill right there, and sure enough, seen the 2 birds that we wanted up on the hill, and didn't realize there was 7 birds total, so that was definitely a fun hunt. But the coyotes over here are just thick. My wife heard them the other day. She said it was 5 different packs howling just around my house, in different directions. That's something this after turkey season I'm gonna try to hammer on pretty hard and trying to go ahead and help the population of coyotes out around here.
Go ahead and on that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jake.
Oh, it's okay. But the population of coyotes over here is crazy. And like I said, it's all cattle land around here. So I mean, I know the farmers and ranchers around here. If I get and take some of these coyotes out, they'll appreciate it for the calf season. Calving season coming up, or just passing, shall I say now. Sort of in the middle of it, really. But the farmers and ranchers, I'm sure, would appreciate helping knock out the population of coyotes, because that everything from your fawns to your turkeys, most of your birds, the dove, all that, that all is hindered by coyotes, much less, a calf being down. Coyotes pick a calf out, in no time.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, I haven't researched it, but another podcast that I listened to, they were talking about, like, coyote control and everything. It's like, I trap and everything, and then I have my, in Louisiana, I have my state certification, to trap and everything. And then it's like, I'm like you, like, you take it, you trap them to help the population and everything. And from what they were saying on this other podcast, and I haven't researched it for myself, but they was like, it has no true effect. Like you kill one, and it doesn't affect. Like you could, they're just gonna keep multiplying. Like it bring when you kill two or three more move in. And I was like, I don't really know how I feel about that because I know like we've trapped some areas pretty hard on coyotes and everything, and not had to deal with them for, you know, a while. But they were like, you kill two or three this year, within a year or two, you're gonna have two or three back. They're just gonna keep coming back. And it was like, I don't know, man. And it was like because they were like, it overall it doesn't help. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like it helps. You know.
Absolutely, and and even if I trap or kill two or three, take out two or three, whatever, and it takes them 2 or 3 years.
That was 2 or 3 less.
2 or 3 years for a deer, to throw 2 or 3, fawns. Turkeys to lay 2 or 3 sets of eggs. That'll help out a population regardless. Yeah.
Well, exactly, because like if you
big hindrance, people don't realize with Texas, there's actually counties in Texas that don't have birds due to one thing that most people don't even think about, and that's red ants. The red ants can get in these palmetto thickets so bad, and they get on these birds, they'll kill a bird because the birds can't get them off of them. And I was blown away when I learned that about 5 or 6 years ago. I learned that I want to say it was Brazoria or Matagorda County. One of those is pretty much like a bird-free county due in part to the red ant. And so that was definitely something new for me to learn.
Yeah, that's I just learned that now. I didn't. But I mean, it makes.
When I learned that, like, red ants, what you mean? They're like, yeah, they get in the feathers, and the birds can't get them off them. Nope, a daggone pile of red ants get on a bird. And just like as if it would, a small child or something, they can't get them off of them.
Yeah, as you can say,
they're in trouble.
We have heck with them, so I can imagine a bird that can't reach everything.
Right, exactly. I mean, heck, I was out here doing the honeydews last week, flower gardens and garden and all that stuff, and find little ant piles here and there. I was like, okay, well, next thing you know, I went to town and I'm stocked up on ant poison because I don't want to get bit by them for sure.
Yeah.
Much less my 2 little boys.
I was saying
crying about ants because, when they're young boys, they ain't looking where they're going. They just running and ripping and roaring. So
no, that's
I'm good with it.
Exactly. That's as you can say. Like it's your little boys because I know how mine are. Mine are 9 and 7, and like if there's an ant nest within 100 yards, they seem to be able to find it.
Oh, absolutely. And then we have to hear about it. I'm like, well, yeah, okay. I can take care of it,
It's like my 7-year-old, there's a spot that like he fell down at my grandparents' house when he was like 2 and he got bit by ants.
Mm-hmm.
He's 7 now, right? He avoids that spot.
Right? He's scarred for life, huh?
I'm like, dude, you can't remember what I told you 20 minutes ago, but you can remember 5 years ago getting bit by them ants?
You ain't bite so hard, Julius.
Exactly. I ain't doing something right. But yeah, that's...
But yeah, man, it's a whole different world over here. The bird population is outrageous. The deer population versus what I'm used to, where I've been born and raised in Louisiana, hunting, from Merrick, Chipola, Greensburg, West Louisiana over there towards Sugartown, and all that. It's wild. It's so crazy. Was it weekend before last? Yeah, weekend before last, me and a partner of mine went to go fish tournament, the one I was telling you about earlier in Choke Canyon, and running down this road, and there's a high fence on the right side, and it's a low fence on the left side, and I come up and up down this hill, and as I come down this hill, I started seeing them, and I wasn't far. So, needless to say, that poor truck and that poor boat was getting a brake check of his life coming down that hill because there was probably about 25 deer against that high fence saying, hey, we ain't woke up enough, our legs ain't long enough to stretch over that high fence today. They changed their mind, turned around, started walking back across the street, and they was back across the road, and they was in no hurry. They was living their best life, and also a truck horn, a car horn, don't faze them.
I was gonna say they
look at you and laugh.
Yeah, they've heard it so much that they got the right of way, huh?
Oh, absolutely. So I mean, nowadays I just roll down a window and just tell them that they have big ears, and that normally gets them on. It upsets them and they run away.
Right.
So I have learned a little trick about that. Working. What I do for work also is working doing some of this ranch work. So I mean, you got deer running all over the place, and it was funny. One day I just randomly rolled down the window on some does, and about 15 of them laid down. I'm like, you got big ears, and they all just spooked and run. I was like, huh, they're sensitive. So now every time I get up on a big old herd of deer, having to slow down or whatever, you got big ears, and they don't like it. I've been good with it.
It's something about the tone you're using with them, huh?
I don't know if they get offended or whatever, but they hightail it out of there whenever they just big ears and they're,
That's funny.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting here in this bait room today,
Uh,
looking at what I don't have to do.
that's what I was
Nice.
gonna. Another thing I was gonna ask you about. How's I know you making you crank you back to making you crankbaits and everything or what?
Yeah, I'm trying to get back into it. Of course, obviously interrupted by turkey season because priorities, I could say. Uh, there for a while, I mean, for about 3 weeks, I was hammering hard right before turkey season. When turkey season come in, I just slacked back a little bit. I'm gonna give it, and like I tell everybody else, I do them per order. So unless I have baits to be made, I don't see no use in making them because it's not going to appease to everybody that I make them. Ones I make or ones I paint or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I try to do them per order. That way I'm not wasting my time, their time, or money, and energy and all that stuff. So right now I'm just pretty much wasting most of my time in the woods. And between the woods, the work, and the boys and the wife, and my wife's like, "You got such an easy job." I'm like, "How? How you figure that easy job?" I'm on the road a lot for work. I'm not, and of course, don't get me wrong, I'm out there doing what I love, and that's always being outdoors. And anything from what doing ranch work, filling feeders to cutting grass on some of these bigger ranches and all. It's just a random. It's never the same at work, so that's what I like about it, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Y'all have any exotics over where you're at? Free range or no?
not really. There's not many right here around where I'm at. You got to go up further north, northwest in the Hill Country.
Yeah.
You'll see your axes running around.
Yeah, back over towards like I was
Yeah,
talking about earlier.
range is not too far from here, but as far as free range, there's not many.
Yeah. See, like when we were talking about where I went to Oklahoma earlier, what was crazy from what I learned, it was up that the northern part of Texas there by the border and everything.
Right.
They've got some free range, some audads or something there. I don't remember exactly, but they're starting to spill over. They killed a couple on the public land in Oklahoma last year, and
Oh, that's cool.
so they're saying that it can't. Like they're starting to get some free range around there, and it's like, they'd last about a week here in Louisiana.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I worked in West Texas a few years back, and seeing my first muley, that was definitely wild because it was about 5 o'clock in the morning. It come from my passenger's door up and across the front of my truck and over to the driver's side in front of my truck when it jumped. 4 o'clock in the morning on his location out in the middle of the oil field. So that definitely blew me away. I'm like, that wasn't a whitetail.
Look,
I've seen the big old black horns, and the big old splits. I was like, really?
my first time seeing a mule deer, we were in Colorado, not too far out of Aspen, and my wife's family. It was 20. We were dating 2016. Yeah, I think it was 2016. They were having a get together for her grandfather, and it was the last year I think he passed away the following year. But we were all at like the golf clubhouse there at the resort on the golf thing. And there may or may not have been some drinks involved, and we leave right. So I'm just putting back along because it's like 3 miles back to the house, and I wasn't I'd had a couple drinks, and it was myself, my wife, and her brother and his wife. Now we're all in the vehicle together. Well, we get to this roundabout, and there's these 3 huge mule deer on the right hand side. And when I say huge, like the smallest one was probably 140 inches, 150.
Wow.
It was huge, and so I make the circle through the roundabout to come back to pull off to the side and look at them. Right, I have the right of way, good old roundabouts, because I'm in the roundabout. Well, the guy coming, fly into the roundabout has to stop slow down because I'm making it through the roundabout, right? As I'm going, the guy, he hits his brakes. The guy behind him doesn't hit his brakes, so there's a wreck, right?
Oh, that's wild.
The guy that rear-ended the other guy, the guy that, the guy that hit the guy, right? The guy that rear-ended the guy, he was a cop.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Lord.
So
That's about right.
he turns his lights on his unit, and the 4 witnesses of everything have all been drinking. So we just went back the other way. That was my first mule deer.
Yes, indeed.
And then then the following year or so, I was sitting there talking to my grandmother-in-law in her kitchen, and she looks out there like I'm drinking coffee or whatever, and she looks out the glass door. It's wide open, like the front door's open, and there's this big glass door. Looks out, right? She says, "Would you go run that deer off from eating my flowers again?" I look up from like, the newspaper or whatever because I was reading something. She's like, "Hey, read this," and I'm reading it. I got the picture somewhere. I'll have to show you. There's like a mule deer doe in the front yard eating the flowers. I open the door and walk out there and holler at her, and she just looks at me and goes back to eating the flowers. She's literally, I got like 8 feet from her before she finally like just trotted about 10 feet from me and looked at me like, "What's your problem, dude?"
Yeah, that's like similar to here with the deer. My wife, she said, "Oh, I want to do a tomato garden and this and that and that and this." I said, "That's fine." I said, "Remember, it ain't deer season whenever your tomatoes start getting eaten and all that. Once these vegetables and all start making fruit,
Yeah, you better have a good fence around them.
There's gonna be a fight between us and the animals because you want a tomato and so does a deer."
Look, my grandfather planted he tilled up like an acre one time. This is probably 12 years ago, a little longer, and planted like an acre of strawberries at his house, right? Right as they're starting to grow and they're pretty. He hadn't picked any yet. They're just getting ripe to be able to pick, right? And he's got a bunch of them. He goes out there and like something had ate every one of them.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. he was a little upset.
That's another thing. That's another that bigger ranch I hunt over west of me over here. That's actually a watermelon farm. They do a lot of watermelon.
Nice.
And so while I'm there, I don't mind if I can get a chance. I try to take out all the hogs I can get because they destroy the heck out of the watermelon crops. And and that's why I talked to the ranch on the other day. He's like, actually, them turkeys, they don't really bother the watermelons too much. He says it's getting time to go seed anyway. He's like, normally them turkeys, they don't mess with my watermelon fields too much. I figured, considering how much they like seed anyway, from any kind of sunflower to milo to corn and all that, you'd figure they'd be tearing up a watermelon seed, but they don't bug them.
That's different. I figured they would ate it because you throw it. Maybe if it was busted open, they would, because just a regular watermelon, chickens won't really bother too bad. But you cut it open, they'll eat it.
That's true.
Maybe that's what it is. I mean, I kind of, I don't know. Turkeys are. I'm not a huge turkey hunter. I've only been a couple times, so I don't really like. And that's what I'm probably gonna make a trip before somewhere this year, like one of the local places here this year. And I hadn't hunted turkeys probably since I was 16, 17. But
right.
I'm mainly using it this year for scouting and a reason to get out. But I gotta find them. If you remember, I think I sent you some pictures last year. I made the wing bone collars. Did I send you those?
Mm-hmm.
And
I believe you did.
But they're somewhere because I had my office and I decided I was going to build the shop and office at my house, and then the rain set in. And, last year when it started raining like every 2 days.
Right.
And I actually just I started building my dirt pad this past December, like 14 months after I was going to start building my pad, originally. And got the pad up to where I thought it should be, and I was like, okay, good. So then, have to get the permits and all this, to build. I was okay with putting the dirt in for the pad, but I had to get it for the electricity, blah, blah, blah. Nope, they come out. 45 days later, they decide to tell me it's got to be a foot higher than what I have it.
Oh, Lord.
But it took them 45 days to tell me this.
Oh, that's about...
So I just got the last bit of dirt in. Let's see. Friday, my cousin has a dump truck. He hauled me. He got off work, and I called him, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, I'm getting ready to cut this treetop up." I said, "Oh, okay. You think you could haul me some dirt Saturday?" Because he has a full-time job, then he has a dump truck. He's like, I can put this saw up and haul it right now. So I got my first load of dirt at 6 o'clock Friday evening.
Wow.
All right. 5 loads later, it was like 8:30 and we're dumping it with a flashlight. So I graded all that Saturday morning, and he calls me. He's like, "Hey, you got it?" I was like, "I'm grading." He said, "You gonna need some more?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, I got to work today, and when I get done, I'll haul you some." So Saturday, I got my first load at 6 p.m. again.
I do a flashlight again. I go charge the batteries back up.
Yeah. Then I was picking up my grandfather because I had his tractor, and I took his tractor back Sunday after church, and I said, "Hey, you need to get the headlights fixed on the tractor." And it's an old 135 Massey Ferguson diesel, and when I went to, anytime I go to get it, he's told me, he's like, don't lose the key, as he hands me a screwdriver, because we got to jump across.
Right.
And I'm like, but he said, he looks at me with this dumb look on his face. He said, "It doesn't have headlights." He said, "What did you rig up on it?" I said, "Oh, nothing." I said, "But I got it all graded." because it was supposed to start raining Sunday. It was supposed to start raining. I didn't know when it was going to rain, so I'm like, it's supposed to hold off. And no, this was in the Monday because I had to get something for more Monday. But it was supposed to start raining, so I'm out there with the the little headlight strap on your head.
Oh yeah.
Riding around on the tractor, grading it. I'm like, my neighbors can probably hear the tractor and they can see the light going around. They're probably like, what the heck is he doing? Sure enough.
Ain't no telling they saying themselves.
Sure enough, I run into.
Was it the one that takes a triple H, or was it like a good frogging kind of headlight though?
The triple A.
Huh?
The little triple A one. It wasn't a good one.
Oh, so in other words, yeah, you got a headlight, but you mostly running by feel then.
Yeah. So look, I'm riding around like that, right? I get it all graded. The next morning, it hadn't rained. I slick it. I make sure it's good and slick. Throw it on the tractor, take it back. I'm cutting up with him, and I end up running into one of my neighbors at the store, and they said, "Hey, what were you doing?" I said, "I had to grade that dirt." They was like, "You need a brighter light?" I'm like, "No, I had a bunch of bright lights. That's just what I had in my hand, on me at the time, and I wasn't stopping to get a brighter light." I was like, "But I'm done now." But so yeah.
Desperate times call for desperate measures,
So
right?
yep, all that to say that once I got that, I can do my pad. I got my dirt pad. I can start putting my concrete in. But once I get my shop built, I'll actually be able to find half my hunting stuff because I've got all my turkey hunting stuff is pretty much put up because I don't do it. So it's so it's all got to go out there. It's crazy. It's like I deer hunt all the time. You know that. So it's like how much I'm in the woods deer hunting. So it's like I know where all that's at. Anything and I know
the opposite. I don't know where much of my deer hunting stuff is, but I can tell you any day of the week where my decoys are, my turkey vest, my turkey gun, my shells, and all that. I know exactly where they are 365 days a year.
Well, it's
right now I got 2 vests in my truck, and yesterday my wife's like, "Why you got 2 vests?" I said, "Well, I've been my brother come with me, and whoever wants to come with me. Normally your traditional vests don't work as great here in South Texas because cactus and all that stuff. It's hard to lean up against a tree." That you're covered in cactus. So I use the Alps Grand Slam system. Yeah, it's a little bit heavier, it has a frame, but you can lean up anywhere,
Yeah. See, that's what talking like you said that and it's like getting back into deer hunting. I'm switching over to saddle hunting, and I don't know if you're familiar with the saddles.
All right.
And totally different because we're used to carrying a climber or whatever, and it's like the lightest climber you're going to get is probably one of the original old mans that weighs 19 pounds, and
right.
Then you're limited to an extent on what you can hook it to, just because you got to find a tree that you like, and it's just so much to take into consideration. There's you can carry a lock on and sticks, and you can get a really light setup on lock on and sticks. You can get under 10 pounds with a complete set now, but you're dropping serious money for it. And then, you're not going to leave it up because you don't want it being stolen. And then it's but the saddle, I don't know how familiar you are with them. It's the best way to describe it is like a big diaper. And,
right.
Then a one stick method, which is, I got a 15-inch one stick with a 3-step adjustable rope ladder. You reach as high as you can and put this one stick on a tree, right? And it doesn't matter. You can put it on any tree you want because it just wraps around. You know what I mean? And reach as high as you can and put it on it. And my buddy uses an 18-inch, but he's also 6'1", and I'm 5'6", so the 15's kind of, but it's
I do horse saddles pretty much. You gotta get by size.
Yep. It depends on how So we and it's so say you reach up as high as you can and put it. The bottom of it's probably at 7.5 feet. So my first setup, my feet are at 7.5 feet. Then you're tied to the tree, right? As soon as before you ever go up, you can actually strap off to the tree with your lineman's belt before you ever start climbing, which means you're hooked to the tree before you ever step off the ground.
Huh? Sounds super safe.
Dude, if you do it right, it is. And we put a video out on the YouTube channel the other day. Delta Fly Outdoors. And you can go to YouTube and see the video. It's about 18 minutes, and it's a demo on saddle hunting to walk through. And my buddy that Ty, one of my pro staff guys, it's his setup, and he's remote. He does it, and he actually rappels down the tree and everything. And it's and he's the reason I'm I hunt public land a lot. Well, you can get in any tree you want, and you're in and out of the tree in literally 10, 15 minutes like any normal stand, right?
Huh.
But you're wearing the saddle itself. You're wearing it like if you go watch a video, like they got a bunch of saddle videos, but you know I'm gonna promote mine because it's mine, and you know, and but like I watched a bunch, and like we did that with his and everything. But it's like you've got it. You're wearing your ropes and your saddle. Your stand itself weigh about, depending on what type you get, anywhere from 2 to 4 pounds. The one step setup weighs about 3 pounds. Your total setup's like 7 pounds to 8. All right.
Yeah, so I mean, I could actually easily carry that to the woods. You know, if it's anything like a turkey vest, anyway.
Yeah, you're pretty much. Well, you can wear it all. You're wearing it. The basically, like I said, it fits. You slide it on, and it's like you're wearing it like it's over your clothes. You're wearing it, so your weight of your harness and ropes is on your hips. Right. And then, like, if you're carrying a backpack with your, you know, like you carry snacks and everything, whatever. You got a little backpack, right? You can put your one stick.
I gotta have snacks everywhere we go.
You got your one stick on it, and it's like what's cool about it is like my 7-year-old, he can go out there, put the one stick on the tree, and climb up right now. Huh. I haven't, you know, like they don't like nobody has produced just a straight up saddle for kids yet because of all the liabilities, and
right.
That I've got a podcast coming out on that in a couple weeks too with Robert Wood that owns Wood Tree Saddles out of Florida. Really cool cat. And I think we talked for about 2.5 hours on the podcast, and probably another 30 minutes after that. Then like we text probably every day about just hunting stuff and everything. He answered any questions I had. Like even like he didn't just like his product was the best. Like that was what was cool. He didn't dog anybody else's product. He told you the good things about everybody. And like
right.
and but I was like, you know, do they have just a kid one? And he's like, no. He's like, you know, like my kid. He's like my kids use them, but I make my own. So I made some adjustments. But you know, it's like you know, you and I think about the same age, Jake. I'm 37. You're 36, 37. And
right.
you know, we've hunted most of our lives, and Robert's the same age as us, and he was like, he's like, how old were you the first time you used a harness and tied off? I said, shoot, I was probably grown. And he's like,
I was probably about 15.
I was probably about 18, 19. And he's like, right. He said the first one I ever had.
And he cinched it all up, got as tight as he could go, which was still too loose for me because I was a little fella back then anyway. And it threw me in the old tree lounger. So up I go up this little oak tree on a tree lounger, get up there, I'm hanging out. Next thing you know, the bottom drops to the bottom of the ground. I'm
didn't tie them together.
Okay, forgot about tying that part off.
Yep, and that's what I'm getting at. This is so much safer because like you're hooked automatically, and that's like I'm gonna start teaching my boys how to use it because it's like, yeah, it's way lighter and it's something that they're hooked to the tree automatic, and it's like,
right.
And you know, they're all rated. This is what cracks me up. Everybody rates theirs to like 300 pounds, and I'm like, why are they rated to 300 pounds? And the answer I got will crack you up. Well, you're live, and we're on a Zoom call, so we're face to face looking at each other when he says it, right? He's like, well, the liability insurance goes way up if you go above 300 pounds.
Oh hell.
He's like, oh, they'll all support more than 300, but we don't advertise that due to the fact that the liability insurance is outrageous at that point. Like that's in the podcast. Like, dude, I am like laughing probably like uncontrollably because I'm like, you know what? At least I got that answer that question. But
right, it was an honest answer.
Yeah, an honest answer, and that's what. But yes, you know, check out our video we got. Like, cause like, if you got any questions about them, like we can answer them for you, and I can hook you up with somebody that can. But it's like they're so much safer, and it's like, I know like.
Well, here's my question, because I mean I haven't really got into it too much, and now since I moved here, like.
Mm-hmm.
I understand you're tied off to the tree, but like, can you get over limbs and stuff? Like,
yes.
Cut your limbs basically like you do.
No, you don't have to cut. You don't have to cut any limbs. Like you go up and you got your lineman's belt on, right?
Right.
You take your tether, which is your other rope, hook it above that limb that's in your way, right?
Right.
Hook it back to your bridge. It's connecting your saddle to each side.
Uh-huh.
Unhook your lineman's belt, and you're tied off with the one above your head. Climb up to it around that limb, then go up to the net. Whatever you need to do.
Well, I say that I was curious because most of our trees at 6 foot, 7 foot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to think South Texas don't have tall trees.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, but
people build box box blinds that are, have 15
Yeah.
feet down, or they're taller than half the trees are hunting around.
Exactly, but this is you can because you have two tiles, right? So you take your lineman's belt, which is your automatically, that's your lower one that stays about nipple height basically. And, like climbing a light pole. You get to a limb sticking out, you take and reach up above it and hook your other belt on that that would be above your head for when you're finished.
All right.
And hook it back with its canterbury back to the bridge. Unhook your lineman's belt, but you're still tied to the tree. Then you climb up and go around the limb. What's cool about it though is you have your little platform that you're standing on, and you're just you relax the rope and you're just hanging from the tree, right?
All right.
You're literally, you can stand or sit, and like your knees are against the tree, like you're kind of like hugging a tree. So you literally become a tree hugger. And but you have the tree stays between you and the deer at all times because you can swing all the way around the tree.
That's wild.
And like you can shoot like I had the bow the other day and it was like you have full range to shoot anywhere.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was playing with my bow and it's like, but yeah, check them out. Like it's a kind of a larger investment to start with, but it's like the last stand you'll ever need. And it's like,
I definitely had to check that out, especially if I hunt somewhere, if I go back east or north or something.
Well, it's
like I said, over here, I mean, hey, if you wanted to get up in a tree that bad around here, you just get a 6-foot ladder, you climb almost any tree around here. You'd be almost on top of it. These old oaks over here, they go up a little bit and they just start spreading.
Yep.
So that's why most of us out here, we all got blinds, whether box blind or a little soft blind. My poor blinds, I watched them go through the wind here about a month ago. They went from one side of the property, flipped around all the way to the other side of the property.
So they put them in a new spot for you for next year? I said, you got a new hunting area for next year?
No, because they ended up flying back the other way the next day when the wind changed direction.
That's about right. But yeah, that's what so you've killed one turkey, y'all doubled the other day, then your brother, so you've had a pretty good turkey season out there already this year, which is super cool. But that's what I wanted to bring you in, talk a little bit about turkey hunting and everything, and you said, like you said earlier, the hogs being on that place, that's you think that's going to affect your turkey population due to them eating the eggs and everything, or?
Oh, absolutely. Them hogs, they'll get up on a nest, and it don't take but 10 seconds, and the nest is destroyed from a hog, And then also the poults have a hard time, trying to defend themselves away from the daggone hogs, because the hogs, they don't care. They just see it's an easy opportunity for a meal,
Yeah.
As in most things, I say the scavengers / predators out here are opportunistic, so whenever they go on that kind of situation, that's whenever they're going to go off and get their bellies full and hurt the population. But yeah, the biggest thing we have out here as far as predator-wise, I believe, would be coyotes over anything. Between the coyotes, the crows, and the hogs, it's hard life for a turkey. And many other animals too.
Yeah, and that's what because like you said with the deer a while ago, that's impressive to have that many, because I've seen pictures y'all posted and everything, so it's like I know kind of your area there, and then us talking when you sent me the numbers the other day, to look up all those turkeys for you, the locations.
Right.
So it's like I kind of know the area. That's an impressive deer herd. I mean.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
the herd of deer around here is, like I said, it's like nowhere I've ever been before. And people are like, oh, it's all high fence. No, it's not. It's all actually low fence.
Mm-hmm.
And the few high fences you do see around here, matter of fact, it was crazy because they have a high fence about, 15 miles from here, maybe 10, 15 miles going into the next city over called Cuero. And go figure, I'm going to live right beside Cuero, which is known for turkey capital of the world. So I don't know how fate just hit that.
I was going to say, you sure you didn't make that happen?
Hey man, it's the man above, I guess. He just knew where to put me. And their high school mascots, the Fighting Gobblers, and they got turkey pictures. They have a turkey run every year. I think the original turkey run had either 18,000 turkeys they run through the middle of town. Whenever they first had their first ever turkey run, and it's a big thing every year. Now they let turkeys run through the middle of town every year. It's definitely crazy, And as a matter of fact, that's my brother, the same city my brother killed that, or just on the outside of the city where he killed that good bird last week, or no, was it Friday? The last Friday. And like I said, that morning, man, we set up, and we were actually, we get there on time like we were supposed to. I was like, yeah, let's hang out a little bit later. I want to try something different this morning versus where we were the week before, because that's where we killed the 2 coyotes. And so we ended up going a little further down a fence line, and they had 2 birds gobbling at 640 straight in front of us, and then they had 2 to our left, which both of them were across the property line. And so I was like, man, I'd like to really, get one over here. So I did something that I normally never do, and I started doing some real soft yelps real early, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm just going to chance it, try to go and let that bird know that, hey, look, got a female over here, here's your opportunity, come on, big boy. So, and it actually worked. About 6:50, and the sun was barely up. Like, you could see, it was well enough you could see without flashlight, but another bird was still on the roost. And so he started hammering this steadily, and from 6:40 to 8:45, whenever my brother pulled the trigger, that bird didn't gobble 200 times, it didn't gobble the first time. And he was just steadily gobbling. And we watched him, and I watched him at about 300 yards out. He'd come up to the fence line at about 300 yards out. He started making his way towards my right, towards where the fence turns into a barbed wire. And I knew if he crossed that barbed wire, it was going to be on. And sure enough, he made his way out to the right under the barbed wire. And he ended up making a big old loop and coming back in and around to us, and up down through a bottom and up to the other side. And when he comes to the other side, it's whenever he started doing his dance for us. And he sat in our lap at 40 yards. I told my brother, whenever you're ready, take him. And he let the TSS ring, and at 8:35, and that bird didn't know what hit him. And he's a good bird. He's probably about 20 pounds. He had an inch and an eighth on one side and 1 inch on the other side with a 9 7/8 beard. So he was a good bird, especially for somebody's first Rio anyway,
Yeah. I mean, that's a nice bird.
Oh, yeah. So, but over there, and that was what's wild over there. The hogs were 10 times worse over there than where I hunt over in Floresville. And the birds stay, they stay on away from the hogs, I guess, somehow or another. I guess they got good flight patterns, because most times the birds like to stay on the ground. But
Florida's
I checked the camera this morning. I had over 200 pictures of hogs in 2 days,
Oh, wow.
So, and it was from daylight to dark and all through the night to daylight the next day. There were hogs on camera, I'm like, well, ain't no way in heck turkeys are coming through.
See, but like Texas, you can kill them year round on a lot of the public lands over there. They allow y'all to kill deer year round. I mean, hogs year round over there. Where Louisiana is still like,
Deer, the hogs, you can take hogs day or night year round here. I also found out too is rabbit. You can take rabbit year round, day or night.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Look at on a lot of the public lands they allow that in Texas.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me, but that's different from Louisiana. Louisiana wants to find a way to make money at everything it does.
Oh, absolutely. Which, I mean, you kind of can't blame them, but at the same time, whenever I'm over here and I talk to, all these people over here, I'm like, you ever run rabbit dogs?
Like, what's that?
And I'm like, man, look, I got some friends of mine back in Louisiana. They got the rabbit dog sickness. They'll run the dog as long as they can, every day they can. Mm-hmm. Just to hear the hounds holler.
Yep.
And it's something so wild. Now the hog dogs are a big thing here.
Mm-hmm.
But the rabbit dogs, I ain't never heard that noise. And then the squirrels and the coons. It seems like, they say everything's bigger in Texas. I got a squirrel that hangs out in my backyard. He gets about 5-10 foot up the tree when he runs from it, and he sits there and pants for about 2 minutes because he's out of breath. Like a little football.
Dude, I was 2 years ago in North Louisiana. I was bow hunting, wildlife management up there that's bow hunting only. And I'm sitting in my stand, and I hear something coming through the woods back kind of behind me to the right. And I glance and look. It looked like a bear cub. It was a coon so big. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, damn. Then off to my left, behind me to my left, here comes a doe and a yearling, right? They're walking down the same path at each other. The coon and the deer. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, when the doe sees that coon and he stands up on his back legs and looks at her, like he stands up and looks, right? Like right there at the tree, because he's at a tree and he was about to go up the tree. And he comes up on that tree and he just looks over there at this doe, right? I'm looking at him, I'm looking at her. She just starts backpedaling and blowing, looking at him like, I'm like,
yeah, you're too big for me to mess with.
yeah.
You get in that corn.
And I'm like, no, he was fixing to go up a tree. Like I was on public land. There was no food or any, like no corn or anything. And it cracked me up. I was like,
public land, right?
yeah, I was hunting public land, but it's like cracked me up because he's looking at like, he looks at her and just like raises up that tree to go up it like, and just looks at her like, and she's like, I was like, and I'm looking, I'm like, man.
He's saying, come at me, bro, and she's like, nah, I'll pass.
Yeah, and my dad was about 300 yards from me back where the coon came from, right? That evening, I come out of the woods and we're walking back. I said, man, I saw the biggest coon. He said, that thing had to weigh 50 pounds. I said, you saw him? He said, yeah, I started to shoot him. He said, all right. And we was laughing about it, but it was like, and I had pictures of that coon on a camera up there, like, biggest coon I ever saw. And I'm like, yeah, we're not that far from Texas. That's the thing. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I ground chick one a while back, you know, because, heck, my wife, she knows how to cook a mean coon anyway. So I ground chick went out to feed her a while back, and I went out there, and I'm thinking, Louisiana, 15, 20-pound coon, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I reached in there and got this son of a gun, it was every bit of 45 pounds. I'm like, babe, we need more room in the freezer.
You need a bit.
Why? And I went off, and I dressed him out, skinned him out, and all brought him inside for her, you know. Cause,
you gotta need a bigger pot, babe.
Oh, yeah. And her jaw hit the floor, she's like, oh, my God. Well, I talked to some ranchers over here, and I realized that, and they informed me that a lot of the coons around here don't climb trees. They'll literally go in, and they'll grab an armadillo out of its hole and go steal the armadillo's hole. And I could not believe it. Well, sure enough, was it last Friday? Yeah, last Friday. I went nowhere where my brother killed that deer, and where my brother killed that turkey, and we killed them 2 coyotes. Just before them coyotes come out, we seen a coon come out of a hole on the bottom of an oak tree. I said, look at this. And he stood up looking at decoy, you know, walking. He's walking and looking over his shoulder at the same time, like he's somebody at Walmart that's seen something sparkly, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he walked on past that decoy. He's like, oh, yeah, I ain't too sure about that. And then got back down all 4s and booked it on out of there.
Yep.
But that was a fun hunt, that coyote. We had them, I think it was 2 of the same birds that we heard this past week over there. They were steadily gobbling, 6:45, 6:40, you know, early morning on the roost. And I had spotted something moving over to my right, and the little girl was sitting on my left. She got the itch last year to turkey hunt, you know, in Louisiana, and they tried, a couple buddies of mine tried to get on a bird and see with my mom having an aneurysm this past year.
Yeah.
Her mom, which is a good friend of mine, spearheaded a benefit for my mom, you know, because my stepdad was out, you know, out of work, taking care of her and medical bills and all that, helping out. So I told her, I was like, I know your daughter got the itch to go turkey hunting. I said, I have permission on a couple properties to hunt. If you'd like, bring her here, you know, and I'll be more than glad to try our best to get her a bird. Well, she come with me, you know, and she's new bird to turkey hunting, and so we're out there. I'm just after daylight, you know, starting my cadence of calls and all. Well, about 130 yards out to my right, I see something moving, something running. I was like looking, I was like, dang, deer. I was like, a daggone coyote. Well, it wasn't a minute later after that, to my left, in comes the coyote at a full run and smokes my avian X decoy at 20 yards. And whenever it hits that decoy, it runs through it, and it's running straight to us. And I told her, shoot. Well, by that time, she threw up, shot, and put his head between his legs, and the TSS just let it eat, you know. So he ended up hauling off about 15 yards. Well, by the time he done hobbled off 15 yards or so, the other one, the first one I seen come in from the right, I threw up and shot him, you know, and it was just so wild how fast and how crazy it happened. I was like, hey, buddy, I just killed your partner just now, you know. You don't mind either, so. But she was proud of it. I was super proud of her to be able to shoot that dog, you know, or a coyote, you know, in such a fast form. But that was proof to me. That was all the proof I needed to know that them coyotes are detrimental to the population of the birds out here, you know. For a coyote to come up there and hit a daggone a rubber turkey, that proves all you need to know about coyotes being predators in this area.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean that was black and white, right in your face, saying, "Hey, look, you want to see what kills your birds around here? Here it is, right here."
Oh yeah, it definitely proved it. Let's see, we I don't even know how long a little over an hour. We're gonna start bringing this one down, Jake, so we because I mean we both could talk about talk for hours, especially when it comes to hunting and fishing. I mean that's a
You want to touch on the fishing in here or what?
yeah. How's everything been fishing with you over there?
Man, I tell you, coming from what I tell everybody around here, I come from the mud hole. It's hard to find good, pretty clear water in Louisiana. What we consider clear was always gorgeous water. Whether it be in a spillway, you got to find a deep pocket somewhere. Or me, my most favorite lake was Almonds, and one of my most favorites anyway. And then being raised on the Amite River all my life, it was mud. So moving from over there to over here, to where almost every reservoir out here or lake out here has a 4 to 6 foot clarity. You put a bait down 4 to 6 foot, you're like, oh my lord, I can't believe this. And just the overall fisheries here are mind blowing. It was definitely a change versus what I'm used to throwing, on every time or most all the times of where I normally use fish. And I've had to slowly get away from per se the muddy water techniques and get over here to clear water. Everything from downsizing my lines to different colors I'm using, different kind of different patterns I fish. I mean, don't get me wrong, the fish do basic everything. They're going to go to spawn, they're going to go to their deep pockets, they're going to try to find cover and different things like that. But as far as the water clarity, that just blows me away. And I think we had talked about it earlier, about your buddy was throwing a chatterbait randomly and some reeds. Well, I fished Choke Canyon, and Choke Canyon is just a notorious lake out here in South Texas, and it's a very beautiful reservoir, and they have everything from standing timber to rocks to they have a big old dam system. Most all these reservoirs do, to grass flats and ledges and all kinds of stuff. Well, me and a partner of mine, we ended up starting off on a place. I've never been to this lake anyway, but it was something that I seen on the map looked pretty promising. Well, we started over there, and it was the Louisiana water, what I tell everybody. It was that stained, that darker stained water. Can't really see too far. We fished it for a while. Couldn't do nothing. I even went back to Louisiana to try it. My Louisiana techniques, I guess you could say. Just couldn't pick nothing up. Well, later in the day, we went across the lake to the other side, and that water was gorgeous. It was like looking through a bottle of Windex blue, and it was just so pretty water, and there's a couple good points coming out. Well, they had a bunch of standing reeds in there. I just randomly picked up chatterbait. That's normally not a go-to of mine. And we got in. They had two boats about 400 yards in front of us. They had a boat about 300 yards behind us, and we just sort of got in between them. I said, let's just go try it for a little bit. We'll see what we can do. Well, sure enough, pick up that white chartreuse chatterbait. I think it was the second cast. Put the first fish of the day in the boat. And we didn't make it 100 yards maybe. And I had my 5 fish, and my partner, we're fishing a singles tournament, and he had 3. So that was definitely interesting. And that day actually was pretty wild also, because they had 3 different tournaments going on at the same time. And they had our tournament, they had another tournament, and they had a kayak tournament that was going on. They had 91 kayaks out there. And the darting boats going all over the place. It was pretty wild seeing that many boats and people on the launches, But it wasn't too bad. I can't complain. I ended up pulling 5th place out of 22 on a reservoir that I never fished, against some veterans that fish it, every weekend that they've been fishing for years. Buddy of mine had found out the following day a lot of the fish went back deeper, and he had sent me a picture the following day. He had 3 fish within about an hour and a half, over 8 pounds. I'm like, yep, you found them, didn't you? He's like, yeah, they went deeper. I'm like, that's about right. So, but the fisheries here, like I said, they're amazing, because almost every reservoir out here has great structure. It has a great program, as far as the water and the preservation of the fish, and trying to help make their lives better and all that. The river authorities and Texas Parks and Wildlife definitely do a big part in that. So, and it always, like Fleta Creek, they just added a bunch of vegetation to a little place called Fleta Creek out here by Victoria, which I fish a lot. But they're all about improving the fisheries out here, I've noticed, and that's something that's awesome for me, because, like I said, I got those 2 boys that are 4 and 6, and them boys love being outdoors as much as I did when I was a kid with my daddy. So I love that, because they're looking for the future for their kids, not just for the fish and not for us,
Yeah, Texas has done a really good job on building a future in the outdoors of having, it replenishing, where a lot of states need to take aim and look at that and see what they've done. And, it's like if you've got, they're becoming a premier destination for fishing because the quality of bass they're producing in almost any lake. So it's like because they put the.
I seen they had a guy this past week over at OHIV, and they put 3 double-digit bass in the boat in one day.
Yep.
I've seen they've been doing pretty good over in Louisiana, of course, Canyon, Bussy Break, and all that. But it hurts my feelings a lot because that's where I'm from. I'm from Louisiana. People ask me, all the time, would you move back to Louisiana? And I hate to say it. Louisiana, why? Well, I come from what was known as a sportsman's paradise. Whenever I was a kid, it was sportsman's paradise, Nowadays, it's so hard to get on a lease, or have to fight through the timber companies and all this, to even try to get to make a successful year as far as a hunter or outdoorsman.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, don't get me wrong, your kill or your catch isn't always the what makes it a success. In the end, making memories and having time with loved ones and friends and all that stuff really makes it a success. But at the same time, I ain't gonna lie to nobody. I like going and getting what I'm going after, whether it be a turkey, a deer, a fish, a hog, whatever.
Yeah.
If that's what I'm set out to do, I'd like to go ahead and at least compete,
You want some fruit of the labor.
Goal. And don't get me wrong, Louisiana does great. They have great deer, in certain parts of the state. But what I feel, in my personal opinion, about Louisiana is that they have their focus in certain parts of the state more than they have other parts.
Oh yeah. You can tell that, like going on public land, by the way they're maintained.
Mm-hmm.
Different ones are maintained way better than others, and if you look at what that who lives around that area, it'll give you the answer of why it's maintained better. And,
oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that's everything from fisheries to the deer to the turkeys.
Yep.
And it's what sort of I didn't realize until a couple of years ago that they actually did control burns in Louisiana, but it was over in the west side of the state.
Mm-hmm.
Over around Fort Polk and all. So I was like, really? Like, NWTF, don't get me wrong, I'm a supporter of them, but if you're going to do it in one part, why don't you find other parts to do it? I understand it's, it's a lot of times what it is, it's by landowner permission.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't know, it just throws a big old curveball to me to understand a lot of it, I guess. But,
I agree.
Like I said, I'm from Louisiana. I'm born and raised. I love it. I'll always love Louisiana. But I have to say Texas is home now, considering what has been offered and gave me and my family so far.
Yeah.
I just got to get used to the sandy soul. And that's another thing, I like walking a lot when I'm turkey hunting, like especially if I'm scouting or whatever. And it's just like walking on the beach with snake boots and stuff. A lot of places. Because it's just so sandy over here. Like, it grabs your feet and so my calves, I don't have to go to the gym for leg day anymore. I just go walking, go walk out here, go scouting, and I got 3 weeks worth of workout and snake boots.
I said, what type of snake boots you running?
I'm running Twisted X. A lot of friends of mine running Chippewas and all, but I like Twisted X. I don't know why. Of course, I wear them a lot of times. Not even hunting. Working on these ranches, what I do for work.
Yeah.
I'm off a dozer. I may be on a dozer one day. I might be on a weeder the next day, but at the same time, I'm still wearing snake boots because I'm hopping on and off. You don't know what you're going to turn over, what you're going to kick over,
Yeah.
So, and that's why I get them, because I don't just use them for turkey hunting. I use them for work, It's just some of the work boots. You only go out to find the most comfortable pair of work boots you can find, and you're going to wear them because that's what pays your bills, and that's what I do with these. And so far, I've had them about 3 months now, and they've been very good. Don't get me wrong, they get a little warm in the summertime and all.
Mm-hmm.
Like but the wintertime, I ain't got no problem. They stay warm. I ain't got to worry about no cold feet. So, but Twisted X's have definitely got my interest. I may try some Chippewas, but I haven't got there yet. I'm going to go ahead and wear these out first. If they'll last me long enough, I'll be good with it,
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of stuff I wanted to cover, and just catch up on some stuff, and that's what I wanted to do, and just go over with you. And I think my little girl done knocked on the door a couple times, so I'm fixing to have to call this one because she my youngest one's about 19 months old, and that's the little girl.
Right.
So that was the surprise because like I said earlier, my boys are 9 and 7. She's a year and a half.
Well,
What
at least you're gonna have big brothers take up for it. That's a good thing. And
exactly?
like I said, we stayed late last night on that dirt track. So my youngest one actually overslept big time, but he got sleep until like 2 o'clock. And I was like, "What?" Like whenever I pulled up earlier, I told you I was home or whatnot.
Yeah.
I come in, my wife's like, well, "What's the boys doing?" I went in there. My oldest one, he's in there watching TV, and my youngest one, he's still over there asleep. I walked in, I was like, "Babe," she's like, "Yeah." I said, "Your eyes, Bader's still conked out." She's like, "Oh my."
He's
She
gonna be
said
up all
last night he
night.
wasn't feeling good, but he played so hard rolling up and down the hill last night. He had a little girlfriend or whatever at the racetrack, and so he had a good fun night last night playing with the other kids and just wearing himself out. So I figured he just needed to rest anyway.
Dude, my youngest one's like me. My youngest son, he's like me. Like he can stay up all night, and then like he'll be up if you let him stay up. He'll stay up, and like let him go to bed at midnight, and he'll be up at 6 o'clock, like knocking on the door. Hey, what we going to do? Like he's up. Like
All right.
like me, like he's 3 to 5 hours of sleep. He's good to go. My oldest one's like, why are you waking me up, dude? You're gonna sleep for 8 hours, but I could sleep longer. Like he's one of them that
Right.
he loves his sleep. My youngest one's like, man, we'll sleep later. But we I enjoyed the time. Give me just a second. I'm gonna bring this. Thank you for once again listening to Delta Lodge Outdoors podcast brought to you by Julius Craig. Please check out our YouTube station and Facebook page at Delta Lodge Outdoors. We're looking to bring y'all great content on all three bands. So this episode has its quirks up and downs. Still learning how to run the system completely. Only I think the 10th one I've recorded. Not sure when it'll get dropped. It was recorded April 3rd with Jake, so we're working on that. Once I get it figured out, we'll get it dropped. When I want to drop it, we'll get it dropped. But once again, thank y'all for listening. Big things coming, and go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button. That's Delta Lodge Outdoors. Thanks.